Now, we're talking all about business, and I want to talk now about, or I want to hear now from somebody who chucked business in to do something very different. I've mentioned VUCA, the VUCA world, volatile, unpredictable, complex, and ambiguous. And the world this person went into is exactly that. So I'd like you to welcome him after you've seen this. Kannst du Mikros? Voilà. Okay.
Do they all work? Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me. My name is Nico, and I'm a sailor. So I'd like to start with videos because since one picture is 1,000 words and a video is 60 frames a second, you get a lot of information in just 2 minutes. Unlike most of the people I race against, I haven't always been a sailor and haven't been at sea all my life. Actually, 2 years ago, I was still working as a consultant at McKinsey in the Paris office, not far from here. And after having thought about it for many months and years, I decided it was finally the time to change and go for something different. And that's probably something a lot of us have done at some point in our lives here today. For me, something different was to follow my childhood dream and become a professional sailor. Don't know how. Can you go to the next slide, maybe, or the next picture? Okay, cool. So, then again, yeah. So 2 weeks ago, I just finished the Route du Rhum, which is a race across the Atlantic alone. And that took me 17 days and 17 nights. And the first 8 days in that race were basically sailing against the wind and against the waves through 4 consecutive storms with wind blowing up to 90 kilometers per hour, and we faced waves up to 7 meters. So during this time, I developed a very particular relationship with the ocean. That reminded me of a particular senior partner I worked with at McKinsey. He was extremely strict, very tough. He had unlimited energy. He could just like the sea, he could very quickly change from calm to horrible. The opposite is also true, but it's just a longer process. And in the end, if you wanted to go make it through the week, you basically just had to do things his way, because he was always right in the end. So during this race, this is going way too fast, but anyway. I learned a few things, basically, a few tips that maybe can help the co-founders or investors in this room. So with great humility, I'll risk myself to give you 3 tips, although I know nothing about VC or startup life apart from my own experience. Tip number 1 would be to forget about overperforming. So this is a picture at the start of the Route du Rhum. We're all overachievers in this room, or at least we're regularly told we are. And I just want to maybe, let's all collectively forget about overachieving and just settle for achieving things, which is already hard enough, don't we all agree? I don't know much about startup life, I was saying, but it must be very lonely to do everything from strategy to pricing to design to finance or even HR in a hostile environment. A bit like myself on my boat, except when you're alone, HR is a bit simpler. So this is a picture of the start of the Route du Rhum. Out of 55 boats on the water, a third of them didn't make it across the Atlantic. So fact number 1, not everyone's going to make it through the storms that are coming. And of course, we knew that at the start. Which brings me to fact number 2. If we take the 3 boats which are down below on the picture and on the right, these 3 boats decided to go for the perfect route across the storms that we faced, sailing very close to low-pressure systems with a lot of wind in a better direction, but still a lot of wind and waves. And that worked out really well for them because they were really fast across the first 2 storms. But on the 3rd storm, they all broke their mast. So fact number 2, it's as much about my second tip would be to prepare for every possible potential situation and then improvise. So in my new job, this would typically be a bad day at the office. If you speak to experienced sailors, such as not me, they would tell you that preparation is everything and that 70% of the race has already taken place before the start is even given. And to some extent, that is true because all the boats that win are always among the best prepared boats in the beginning. But what distinguishes boats among the group of well-prepared boats is their skipper's ability to know when it's time to drop their plans. During the race, after we went through the 3rd storm, there was a 4th storm coming. And I decided I was going to sail away from the Caribbean to go behind that storm and get more favorable winds. And the algorithm I'd run on board were crystal clear. It was always going to work, 100%, no doubt. And it took me 12 hours to realize I was completely wrong. Because the storm that was coming wasn't traveling fast enough for the route to be worth it, for the investment to be worth it. And during these 12 hours, I should have looked at what was happening around the boat and not wait for the next weather forecast, but I should have paid more attention to what was happening around the boat to realize that reality was slowly drifting away from predictions. And I lost a lot of miles due to that. So my second tip would be to continuously look at what's happening around you and just to decide when the time has come to drop your plans, because that time will happen. Only a fool would cross an ocean with a predefined plan. So that's me making mistakes. And if we move to the last one, my final tip would be to pick your investors wisely. So to the co-founders among you. Investors are a bit like my sponsors. They're your best allies. And the best and worst thing about sponsors, especially when you start a selling career like I am, is that they don't come to you. You have to go get out of your way and find them and convince them to fund your adventures. And I didn't do as well as I ambitioned in the race. But one of the best moments in the race was when Yann from Café Joyeux, one of my two sponsors, sent me a message saying, you know what, Nico, you've done so much for us already because of all the hard work we've done before the race started that the money I invested in your project, I already have enough from it. So the result in the race is actually, I don't care about it, it's just for you. And that gave me so much energy and boosted me for the rest of the race that I think it helped me a lot when he said that he didn't care what I was going to do. So that's my third tip, pick your investors wisely. I think time's up. Thanks for having me. I hope this was insightful, or at least entertaining. And I hope to connect later on during the networking times. Thanks.
Voilà. Et cela